February, JP. We are gearing up for the NFL draft here. And everybody's talking about the offensive players, specifically the quarterback position. But we got to show some love to the defensive players in this year's draft, right? As a defensive guy yourself. So you put together a handy-dandy pyramid and broke them down into tiers here. Let's start with tier 3. Who are some guys we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, we'll start with tier 3. And I broke down tier 3 into guys who are certainly first-round talents, but there's some different concerns that pop up for any of them. So let's start with Chop Robinson. He played at Penn State. He's an edge rusher. He's a guy that a lot of people like because of his athletic gifts. He ran a really fast 40. He's super explosive, like a guy who is in the new school mold of being an edge rusher. My biggest question with him is that the production did not match the workout. He was not that productive at Penn State, and so I think there's some projection that has to go on when you're trying to figure out how good of an NFL player he's going to be. But from a tool standpoint, I think he's got everything that you're looking for. Now, another Big Ten guy that we like, Jerzon Johnny Newton, he is one of my favorite guys to watch. He plays with a ton of passion. He is, again, the new age of interior defensive lineman. He can get you a pass rush from the inside. You can play him anywhere from a 0 technique all the way out to a 5, which you really like. His big question, coming off of an injury right now, what is he going to look like? And also, doesn't have elite length, and I think a lot of people are looking at length. Now, that's my same concern for Jared Verse. I think that he's a guy who will translate, played at Florida State, did a wonderful job there. He's got the motor, he's got the tools, he's got the athleticism. He doesn't have great length, and I think that some of the bigger tackles could probably body him up a little bit. So he's going to have to get some moves in his pass rush bag in order to combat that. But I see him as potentially the second edge rusher taken off the board this year. Not my edge rusher too, but I understand why people are there. And then finally, there's a lot of Big Ten guys up here in this third tier.
Sure are.
Cooper DeJean, you watched him, I watched him. He was phenomenal, everything that he did. Super competitor, really athletic guy. He was the star of the Iowa defense, which was a good unit every year he was there. His biggest issue, a little stiff in the hips. And as a cornerback, you got to be able to open up those hips and flip and be able to run with wide receivers. And he can run. It's just a turning part that becomes a question for me.
Okay, so he's your tier 3 here, and we feel like Cooper DeJean is a little underrated coming into this draft. So in your opinion, what round do you see him going
He's a first-round pick for me, and I see him going anywhere between probably 15 and 25, right? Like, I think that kind of 10-pick span is where he belongs. He's really good. I think he comes in day one and he's going to be a starter in the NFL. Teams who play zone are going to like him. He can play man-to-man, but it is just that question about the stiffness that he has. But he's a hitter. He's got all the athleticism in the world. People are underselling this dude. I like him a lot.
Well, and what he does on the field, I remember Kirk Ferentz told me, just even his work ethic, too. I mean, he is a team player. He wants to, wherever you want to put him, he is willing. And so that's, I mean, when you're a coach in the NFL, you want to coach a player like that. So we'll see what he does in the draft here. Let's get to your tier 2.
All right, tier 2 is going to be very similar to what you saw here off of the tier 1 guys. But we'll start with Terrion Arnold, who is a cornerback for Alabama. He didn't run the greatest 40, as you can see up there. He was a 4.5 40 guy. And so you talk about corners and you say, well, you know, like a 4.4 guy or a 4.3 guy. He's got really good closing speed. He's got really good bursts. He's got good range. So he covers up for the idea that he's not super fast over 40 yards. He's also very comfortable playing press technique, so he can slow wide receivers down at the line of scrimmage. Now, the questions that come in, his eyes sometimes get a little bit lost when he's playing, so he's going to have to figure that out. He's not an elite tackler. And I don't know how many cornerbacks are elite tacklers, but if the play does get on the edge, you want to make sure that you can secure it up. Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA, I have sung his praises. I do think he's the second best edge rusher in this class. I really like him. He has an advanced pass rush tree. He's a guy who has multiple moves. He knows how to set him up. He uses his hands as good as any rusher I've seen in the last few years coming out for the draft. Where the question comes for him, he's an older dude, and it's a knock on guys, but like, you know, how long is your career going to be? How long should we invest in you? And he was medically retired by Washington because of a neck injury. So the medical is going to be one of the biggest questions for him, and that's a big hurdle for some teams.
Yeah, could that be the difference between, you know, where you're going to pick him in the draft because that's a big concern, right?
I think it's the reason why he's sliding into the 20s in some mock drafts, because I really think that he's a better player than that.
All right, well, let's keep it with the edge rusher because you got one that's getting everybody's attention. Dallas Turner's in your tier 1, huh?
Dallas Turner, he's in the tier 1. He does everything. I won't spend too much time talking about all the things he does well. He does everything well. A little bit light in the behind, so he's probably going to have to put some weight on. And then my other tier 1 player is Quinyon Mitchell, who played at Toledo. A lot of people don't know him because he's a small school guy. You see the numbers up there. Phenomenal athlete. He's a guy who can play right away. Again, some parts of his game he needs to work on, route recognition, anticipation, all that kind of stuff. Now, before we get out of here, one thing I will say, edge rushers, cornerbacks. It's pretty much everybody that's in here. We had one interior defensive lineman. Those are the premium positions. No linebackers, no safeties on any of these tiers. And that's what people are going to see in draft rooms. There's just not a lot of value in taking linebackers and safeties really high in the draft right now.
Man, they're not representing for your former position, JP. What gives?